Hello, good morning. I'm Rob, that developer dad. It is Monday, August 12th, and the townsfolk must be saved to the database, that is. So this morning, we are going to start doing that. So I guess I should probably explain what we're doing here. And I run a D&D campaign. It's homebrewed for the most part, although lately, this last week's session, I started with a series of adventures that I've actually purchased. And I still run into situations where my players will ask me, so what's this townsperson look like? And what's the blacksmith's name? And who does the barkeeper like? And so on and all that stuff. And I'm not great at making that stuff up on the go. So I figured, hey, I'm a programmer. So let's make a little application that can answer some of those questions for me. I'm also using this application to kind of demonstrate some of the software engineering principles that I've learned over the years, as well as learn some stuff in public. I haven't done a lot of user interface type stuff over the past, 10 or so years. So I'm very rusty, and the web UI world has changed a lot since I've done quite a bit of work with it. So I'm avoiding JavaScript because it changes weekly, it seems, and I'm sticking with dotNet because it's my comfy place. And so we're using ASP.NET Blazor as the UI. And late last week, we got our database infrastructure built up. And let's make sure the database service is actually running. It is. And it's not using a whole lot of CPU or anything like that. So great. Let's make sure our language model is running. And it is. Yes, sir. So we're good to go. And I'm going to flip over to the screen share. Here we are. And right now we are in the program.cs file for for that Blazor front end application that I mentioned. And on Friday afternoon, we added this builder.services.use NPC SQL Server access. So let's go take a look at what that does. We go into create services, and up in here in our SQL Server implementation for NPC access, we see that we've got a dependency helper class, and that's what we're looking at right here. And I added an extension method to that extends iService collection, accepts a configuration object, and runs that all into it pulls the connection string for the user data schema of our database. And if it can't find that, it blows up the app right away. Users will never see this because if this triggers, the app won't even start. And then, of course, we add a log factory where we get a logger factory. We use that logger factory to create a logger for NPC Access SQL Provider, and then we return a new instance with that logger and our connection string. Now, I do need to get that connection string. So that string is going to live in here. And right now it says, haha, nope. And before I modify that connection string, I am going to do a thing. Let's open this in the File Explorer. And it's appsettings.development.json. I want to go to the root of my project and open up the gitignore file. We're just going to use Notepad for this, and I'm going to add star.development.json. We're going to save that. I don't want to check my actual configuration items into source control. There we go, and we should have, yep, there's the gitignore and program CS. Let's take a look. Yep, there's the new star.development.json in the gitignore. So what that does is anything in that gitignore file doesn't get included in the repository and doesn't get pushed up to the public server or the public repository. So I need to find the connection string for my database. And so while I do that, I'm going to go back to where it's my ugly face all over the screen and look for that connection. Is this the right one? Yeah, it looks like it. And new query, I want to see the properties of this guy. And I'm going to grab the connection string. I'm going to copy that. Pop into appsettings.json. Where are we? Oh, here we are. Here's this. Paste it in here. And I've actually got another user that I want to use for this. And it's going to be gh_user data. And paste that, grab the password, copy this, paste it in here. And I'm going to save it, and I'm going to close it. And then I can bring my screen share back. Here we are. Okay. So we should be able to get away without having to mess with that too much at all. So let's close down all of this stuff. Townsfolk Manager connected. We've got our rule set access, shuffler. Oh. Underscore NPC access equals NPC access. There's that. And let's look and make sure I've got Save Townsperson implemented and plumbed out. Okay. Let's put a breakpoint right here just to be ready for when we go to do this debugging. And now, take a drink of coffee and go back to our Blazor app, which is right here. We'll go into components, and pages, and partials. Because I'm going to put this save button on the NPcDetails Okay. And I am going to put it, I want to use the same kind of styling as I do over here. So I'm just going to pop this into a new vertical thing so I can crib from it. A new document group over here. I'll unpin my Solution Explorer. And we're going to add a div class equals row. We're going to add a button class, or a button rather. Come on, Visual Studio, don't be a silly goose. Here we go. Class equals call 12 button btn primary. At onClick equals, we don't have a click handler for this yet. I was very angry about that. Save townsperson. And on save NPC clicked. And we need to grab that, copy it, and I gotta view my code. Boop. I can bring this over here now. So here's the Razor CS. Let's run down here. And how do I have this declared over here? Go to definition. It's public void? Okay, we'll make it a public void. Now, I like what I'm doing here, where if I don't have a handler, it doesn't do anything. So I'm going to need to set up a handler up here. Excuse me. Yeah. So let's pop up here and parameter public function of what are we doing over here? Go to definition. NPC client model and task. Okay. All right. So this needs to accept a function of NPC client model and a task. Is it going to be a task? We can come back to this if we have to. And it's going to be nullable. And save NPC. What did I call it over here? Generate AI clicked. Save NPC. Hey, what's up? What's up, Rev? Clicked. We're going to do a get and a set. And public bool is save button visible. And that will be save NPC clicked is not equal to null. Save. Save NPC underscore clicked. Invoke. Current NPC. All right. Now we can come back out here and at if not that is save button visible. Cut, paste, save it. All right, now we'll come out to our page. And you're right here. What's all this bitching about? So markup with unexpected names, select NPC options. Using partials. It's in there. Silly thing. Okay, on start over, this is going to stop being a primary button, and it's going to become a secondary button. Because I don't want people clicking it by accident. Save. View NPC details, view metric. Yeah. And save NPC underscore clicked equals at this dot on save NPC clicked. Is that the same thing that I did over here? It is. I was going to call it on save NPC. Let's go to this definition. Of course, it can't find it. Save, build. Build the solution. Do we have a view code? Nope. I'll go in here. Of course, I've got a memory like a sieve this morning. Copy that. And On reroll clicked, on start over clicked, on AI description requested. Let's put it under here. And we're going to do a public async task called that. It's going to accept an NPC client model. NPC model. And we're still on details. State has changed. Just to force a repaint. And current NPC equals await save NPC NPC model. Of course, we don't have one of those yet. Let's do that. Save. Let's go to the definition on this guy. We have to go over to our service. We're jumping around a lot here. Await. Yes, that's what I want to do. Private NPC client model. And it needs to be a task. NPC client model. Save NPC. Client model. NPC client model. Boop. Okay. Guard. NPC client model. Saved NPC equals await NPC services. I know you're not null because we just guarded against it. Save NPC, NPC model. Now, why didn't I put this up in the event handler for my click? Well, the click event handler's job is to deal with UI type stuff. And this kind of gets a little hair splitty, but I like to keep my event handler methods because this is an event handler this is the method that gets delegated over to the control that basically gets mapped to when somebody clicks the button, do this. This is this. And I want to keep this to be pretty much just UI type stuff. So what I do is I move, because I want to flip my view if it's different, because this page state impacts the visuals of the main page. Then the save NPC might take a couple of seconds, and when it's done, I want to flip it back. Excuse me. And eventually I'm going to put like a waiting thing back in place to get those things to have like a, hey, hang on, I'm working over here. And also the state of current NPC has probably changed as a result of whatever that async operation is. Rev asked why I was re-rendering twice in these calls. Now, back to why I'm brokering out to a private method for this. I don't want to put the logic required to save the NPC or call the service that we use for the back end into this uh, event handler. It's just a practice that I've gotten into over the years, and it helps me keep my code clean more than anything. This is basically just where we invoke the service proxy, which is what NPC services is. So let's pop over to the NPC services get AI description. Here's that. And this is all that fun stuff. But in this case, what we want to do is instead of serializing for output and all that stuff, or the generated props or any of that goo, okay, so I want to change this rename Gen AI attributes. That's better. All right, so I need a method called, I believe it's just Save Npc is what I specified out here. Yep. See, public async task of NPC client model. Save NPC, NPC client model, NPC. Okay, so we're going to need to call our Townsfolk Manager and pass the townsperson into the Townsfolk Manager. And before I do that, I am going to hit the be right back, and I am paying for all of the coffee I drank this morning because I've been up for a while and I drank a bunch of coffee, and that does things to one's biology after you get to a certain age. I'll be back in like 2 minutes. Bear with me. Hey, sorry about that. Hooray, biology. Yeah, if another page requires all the save logic, I don't have to write a couple of copies. So, what I need to do is townsperson, NPC, data equals NPC dot NPC model. Beautiful. Now, var save result equals townsperson, nope, character worker dot. Do I have save NPC on here yet? I do not. Save NPC, NPC data, and we got to see what's going to come back from this before I go there. So, character worker, yet another story on the 10-story outhouse, but there is a method to my madness. This is all happening within the context of the Blazor application. And yes, if I have multiple pages that need to be able to save or get an AI description of an NPC or what have you, then I have one place to come in and alter that code. Similarly, on the back end, I have my API. Come up to character workloads, get NPC option. Here's generate, get NPC JSON, describe NPC, generate attributes. I really need to clean this stuff up and put it in better order. But I'm going to have a task of townsperson save NPC. And it's going to accept townsperson of type NPC. Now, I really should do no, not going to do that. So we've altered our interface. Let's come over here, scroll all the way down on this stuff. Come on. Down we go. Serialize clean, get NPC JSON, public, task, townsperson, save NPC, townsperson, NPC, var result equals NPC Manager dot save return result. That is not a task. Okay, and because the only thing we're bringing back from the save operation is the NPC's ID, our result is a little different. So what we want to do is we want to await this. And we got to make this async. Now the result here is going to be an integer. Actually, it's going to be a nullable OpResult. And we are going to if result is not equal to null, I'm going to rename this to OpResult. No, I'm not. I'm going to rename it to Manager Result because it's the result of the manager call. And we've got a hungry cat, or we've got a cat who, when she's hungry, she lets us know in no ambiguity that she is starving. Do I have an ID property? I know I added one. Oh no, the grandkids are on the other side of the continent. That's a cat. She's deaf, so she has no idea what she sounds like. So she's got these really strange meows. Manager result dot result. There. What's this complaining about? NPC is not null here. Oh, of course. Because I didn't want it to be I didn't want it to be mutable. So there's another way I can do this. So save townsperson returns an OpResult of int. No. It's going to return an OpResult of townsperson. Okay. Now I need to go into my Townsfolk Manager. Go to the implementation of this. And we've apparently got multiples. It has no implementations. I thought I had implemented this already. That's fine. Managers, Townsfolk Manager. Come in here. I had. Oh, because I changed the thing. I had changed the signature on the interface. Okay, so townsperson's ID is still init only, but I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here, go to definition, and instead of it being init, now if I change it away from init, it's going to break JSON. It's going to break serialization. If I switch it to a private set. Ugh, this is going to be gross. I don't like it. Private int ID because ID isn't actually immutable. It might change. Because it's going to start off as null, and it's only going to get a value when it's saved. ID equals value, and then internal void set ID and ID ID equals ID. There. That will work. So now we can set it, but only inside the Townsperson Manager assembly. Or the Townsfolk Manager assembly, I should say. OpResult of type Townsperson result equals new OpResult of Townsperson. Okay. If save result, excuse me, dot it was successful, result equals Townsperson, result dot result equals Townsperson. Got to use the lowercase, Rob. Result dot result. I really don't like that. Dot ID dot set ID to save result dot result. Rename manager result. That's better. Save result, I like it. Else save result dot errors dot for each manager result dot add error item. Dot key. That's right. Item dot value. And we're going to return our manager result. And we've got our await there. Good. We're mapping to the NPC access model. Getting back an int. We're setting that to that. Good. And now I need to plumb backwards through the character workloads. We're not doing a task of Townsperson. We're doing a task of OpResult of Townsperson. And we need to tell this class what an OpResult is. And all we got to do here, we are back to a nice tidy API method. Let's save everything. Now, our character workloads is called by the NPC service provider. And this is a task of NPC client model. No, it's going to be a task of OpResult of NPC client model. Rename this to API result. And clean this up. Back to the front of the line. OpResult of NPC client model. Proxy result equals one of those. Data, this is getting us back. Okay. If API result okay, that's not going to be returning a nullable. Excuse me. Dot was successful. That's right, I skipped one. Oh, boogers. Character workloads. Oh. There we go. It's not what I wanted to do. There we go. I'll get around to refactoring that to use OpResult soon too. Save all. So we're back to the NPC service provider. Dot await, silly. If it was successful. Proxy result dot result equals API result dot result. API. Oh, duh. Townsperson payload API payload equals API result dot result NPC client model proxy payload equals that. That becomes proxy payload. I'll manage all of these nulls later. Else, for each var kvp in API result dot errors proxy result dot add error kvp dot key kvp.value, save, return proxy result, save it. We've got a whole lot of extra stuff there. So there's our NPC service provider, which was called by the create NPC page model. NPC services.save NPC. And this is an OpResult of that. And I have to give it knowledge of what an OpResult is. If saved rename proxy result, proxy result is not equal to null dot was successful and proxy result dot result is not equal to null. Return proxy result dot result. Else string error equals proxy result dot errors dot first or default dot value. Yes, I know that's not correct, but I just want to get this done. Throw new exception error. Now I don't feel bad about throwing an exception here because this is basically the bottom of the stack. Okay. Yeah, I know I need to adjust the cam. My coffee's starting to yell at me again because apparently I've got a bladder the size of a hazelnut. And I do want to test this before I go, before I break for the morning. So I am going to hit the be right back again and mute my headphones. Golly. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that, folks. I'm going to have to start limiting my coffee intake in the morning. All right. Well, let's see. First test is we got to build it. Because I've just written a whole lot of code without building anything. And I probably mistyped something somewhere along the way or did something dumb. And I really ought to have tested to make sure the button renders before I did all that plumbing. Oh, yeah. Okay, this is step definitions. Okay. I don't want to mess with these tests. So I'm going to just comment these out for now. I'm breaking my tests, but I don't care. I'll fix those later on. And let's try building. Okay, our build succeeded. Let's spin it up. We have fooled around for an hour, and now we'll find out. Let's continue. We're adding a console logger. Here's all this stuff. And I'm just going to do this and say user data cn equals haha nope. Okay, so it didn't pick up the one in the developer config. I might have to explicitly add that. But I'm primarily interested in seeing if the actual button renders and goes and does stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, I know it's going to break when I try to connect to the database. But I'm going to come all the way out to my Townsfolk Manager. If you're open, here's that. Let's go to the implementation. Okay, good. I've already got a breakpoint there. So let's generate an NPC. Human male, age 22, 5'9", 169 pounds, tan complexion, straight black hair, seen fleeing the scene of the crime. Oh no, he's a knight who grew up as a charlatan. And let's generate the AI description. And I really need to get that thingy going to say I'm working on it. Because otherwise someone's going to say save, and it's going to throw up all over the place. So this is thinking. And let's pull this over here so that we can watch all the exciting stuff happen all at the same time. Once it starts happening. But we can see, oh, here we go. Sir Alistair Brightman. All right. I suppose 5'9" is tall for a human in a fantasy world. We were much shorter during medieval times, apparently. Where? Okay, it's generating and generating. There's all the stuff. Save townsperson. Let's click it. And we are up in the Townsfolk Manager already. We've got all the things. Here's our AI generated tall man with a commanding presence, clad in shining armor, all of the stuff, and so on and so forth. Yes, being turned into newts all the time during medieval times was definitely a rough deal for a lot of folks. And luckily, they got better. Now, this is actually, because I know my connection string is incorrect, I'm just going to glimpse at it real quick here. Just a moment. Boop. I'm going to go over to single cam because I don't want to show my connection string on screen. Okay, yeah, it's still broken. But because the connection string is broken, it's going to fall into here, I bet. So it's definitely not going to go through any of this nonsense. Well, it's going to try. And it's going to fail right here. Oh, yeah. Find async, CTX, NPCs. Model is totally null. So we're going to create a new row model. And we've got user ID is 0. I do need to set that temporarily out in the UI, or I could just leave it at 0. Human night, created date hasn't been set yet. Is public is false. And you can see we've got all that JSON. Excuse me. In fact, let's take a look at it. Here we go. Full name is Sir Alistair Brightman. Is AI generated. Here's all the appearance stuff. His description is AI generated. Night. Blah, blah, blah. Good deal. So let's keep stepping. CTX.add. It can add to the context, but I bet it's going to explode when I try to do this. Oh yeah, it did an explosion. That was my really crappy Bane impression from the animated Harley Quinn type things on Macs. They're funny. So the messages formatted the initialization string does not conform to specification starting at index 0. No kidding. But we have an error ID. What's our error type? Boop. So we've logged something somewhere. Oh yeah, SQL Server, NPC Access SQL Provider, error formatted the initialization string, boogity boogity boo. Deckard Cain, yeah, true. And we have a result. Result was not successful, so we're just going to map our errors. Could not save the NPC. And we can keep plumbing out through here. We were not successful. We map it to the proxy result. And our error is could not save the NPC. Let's see what happens in the UI. Okay, we don't have any error messages or anything like that here, so I'm going to need to find a way to handle these errors out in the actual UI. And am I in the, yes, I am in the UI thing right now. So I'll have to look into how Blazor handles that stuff. So I've got a couple of things to do between now and this afternoon. Number one is figure out how to get the program.cs to pick up my Developer.json. I think I just have to add another file to the use files thing. And number two is work out how to get the error messages to display. So I'm going to stop the project. I'm going to add a to-do, figure out how Blazor handles errors in the UI or at once they reach the UI. To do, figure out how to get the app settings developer.json pulled in. Also to do, fix the tests I broke by changing the townsperson MGR constructor. There we go. So we didn't get to see it save, but we did get to see our error handling happen. And we got to see it come all the way back up to the UI. It silently failed, which isn't great, but it's better than crashing the app and giving us like the browser equivalent of the blue screen of sadness. So I'm going to call this morning's work a success, even though I constantly had to run up and down to the bathroom because I'm a darn fool and drank too much coffee this morning. And I'm gonna get these to-dos knocked out, and we'll reconvene in the afternoon at 1 Eastern time and give this some more tests. Until then, take care, everybody.